رسول الله حبيب الله رسول الله حبيب الله Allah our God is the greatest, the one and only glory to him. He wanted humans to be the best and give his best religion to them. Allah our God is the greatest, the one and only glory to him. He wanted humans to be the best and give his best religion to them.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. All praise be to Allah alone. We all praise Him and we seek His help. Whomsoever Allah guides is the truly guided one, and whomsoever Allah leads astray, none can show him guidance. May the best peace and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Brothers and sisters, I would like to welcome you to another live edition of our program, Gardens of the Pious. May Allah make us all amongst its dwellers. Ameen. Today's episode is number 268, and inshallah, God willing, we'll begin with a new chapter, chapter number 64. It will be our first episode in this chapter, which deals with the excellence of the grateful rich, the person who earns lawfully and he spends lawfully, and he is grateful to Allah for his blessings of making him rich. As usual, Al-Imam al-Nawawi, may Allah have mercy on him, listed a few verses in the beginning of this chapter. We have four references of Surah Al-Layl, two references, and of Surah Al-Baqarah, one reference, and of Surah Al-Imran, a fourth reference. Then we'll begin with the Hadith. But before we indulge into the discussion concerning the excellence of being rich and grateful, I would like to share with you that there has been a long dispute between the scholars with regards to who is superior and who is better before Allah, Al-Ghaniyu Shakir or Al-Faqiru Sabir. Al-Ghaniyu Shakir is a person who is rich and he is grateful. Al-Faqiru Sabir, the person who is poor but he is patient. He is not complaining about his poverty. And the scholars, each group, each party who supported one view, have drove some evidences to the superiority and the betterness of this behavior or this category. A rich person who is grateful, they said that he is better than a poor who is patient. Amongst their argument that the poor who is patient, he doesn't have a choice but to be patient, and if he is not patient, he is not going to change his condition. But a rich person, to choose, while he's got all the motives to be arrogant, to be ungrateful, to feel self-sufficient, to feel independent, to neglect his duty towards Allah, and he shows resentment to all of these motives, and he chooses to be grateful. In this regard, there is a hadith which is collected by Imam Muslim, may Allah have mercy on him. In this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, ثلاثة لا يكلمهم الله ولا ينظر إليهم. There are three categories or three kinds of people whom Allah will not talk to them and will not even look at them, which means that on the Day of Judgment they will be deprived from Allah's mercy. Those three people, whom in another narration also they are condemned by being cursed by Allah the Almighty for their misbehavior. The first person is, as the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-A'ilu Al-Mustakbir. And the second is Al-Ushaymitu Al-Zani. And the third is Al-Maliku Al-Kadhab. What is Al-A'ilu Al-Mustakbir? We studied in Surah Ad-Duha before, when Allah the Almighty reminded His most beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he said to him, وَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. The word عائل means dependent, poor, in need. Do you remember? When he found you in need, when he found you poor, and he enriched you, and he made you self-sufficient, and he made you rich. So al-a'il is the person who is poor, the person who is in need. In the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, amongst those whom Allah the Almighty curses and will not talk to them on the Day of Judgment and will not look at them is al-a'ilul mustakbir, a poor person who is behaving arrogantly, who is having pride in his heart. Why? Because he doesn't have any of the motives of being arrogant, of showing superiority or pride. It is understood when you see somebody is getting off his latest Mercedes or Lamborghini or Rolls Royce, you know, sometimes you see such people behaving arrogantly because of this motive, richness. They got what most people don't have. But a poor person who's living hand to mouth, or he's expecting some charity or help so that he will be able to put bread on the table for his kids, and he is behaving arrogantly, that shouldn't be happening. That's odd. So when a person doesn't have the motive and he behaves like that, he's even worse than a rich person who's behaving arrogantly, because he's tested with richness. Perhaps the second example will explain the first. The second case is al-ushaymatu zani. Az-zani is an adulterer, a person who indulges into adultery or fornication. Ushaymat means senile, an old man who commits adultery. You know, adultery is forbidden, is prohibited, is condemned in every faith and every religion and every sharia. But when it happens, when a young man, for instance, commits adultery, he may give excuses that I feel very weak, I was seduced, blah, blah, blah. But when an old man who doesn't have this motive, who doesn't have this desire, or his desire is not compared to a young person, and he still indulges into the act of adultery by choice, and he strives hard for it, despite the fact that he's not in need for it. He is old enough to be modest. He is old enough not to commit adultery, but he does. That's why his punishment is severer than a young person who is, overwhelmed with lust, with desire, and he couldn't resist the urge of having sexual relations, so he fell into the act of fornication. But from an old man that is cursed, that's why Allah Almighty will not talk to him on the Day of Judgment and will not even look at him. And the third is al-malikul kazzab. Why would a king or a ruler who actually controls the affairs of his nation, who is in charge of his country, have to lie? He's a king anyway. What are you afraid of? Whom are you afraid of? Why do you have to lie to people? Obviously, this hadith is talking about habits, not about an incident or two. The hadith is talking about a person who is poor, but he is behaving regularly arrogantly. On a regular basis, he behaves like he's a big shot, and he is nothing. The Prophet ﷺ is referring to a man who have reached an old age, but he is living in a lustful life, committing fornication so many times, even though he is old. And the third, a king who doesn't have to lie, but he constantly lies, or he lies so many times, even though he is not in need to lie to his people. So that's why they use this as a reference, how the Prophet ﷺ cursed those who do not have these motives to be in these heinous sins, bad acts, yet they indulge willingly in it, and they do it regularly. So when a person who is rich, on the other hand, he's got all the motives to behave like that. You know what they say? Oh, today, when I was praying Fajr, I saw so-and-so, and he was praying with us. Who was he? Oh, this guy, the multi-millionaire, or the billionaire, the owner of this company. We had a president before. Once somebody called me and said, Sheikh, the president prayed Fajr with us today, and he led the prayer. Because nowadays this is odd. A president of a country, tens of millions of people, and he would leave the comfort of his bed and he would just walk to the masjid and lead the prayer or pray amongst people, and he's wearing his regular thawb. This is odd. Why? Because people are not used to that. So this is more appreciated. People talk about it forever. They say the Prime Minister today visited an orphan and he attended a wedding of a regular employee, or he visited the hospital, because those people are too busy. They don't have time to do that. When they do it in most cases for show, before the camera. It's all set up. But when the person behaves like that willingly and he is humble in himself, that is very appreciated. And Allah raises him into higher ranks, not only appreciated by people, but is also highly appreciated by Allah the Almighty. So Al-Ghani al-Shakir, a person who is grateful, a person who knows that he has in his bank account several million dollars, sterling, whatever, and he's got boxes full of gold and jewelry, and he's got several companies, and his wealth is increasing automatically. He has 2,000-3,000 people working for him, and this person behaves very ordinary, and he eats with his people, and he gives in a charity, and he attends a prayer in the masjid, and whenever somebody praises him, he says it's all from him, it's all from Allah. You should not be thanking me. You and I should be thanking Allah the Almighty. It's all His belonging. It's all His property. So this is a condition of a rich person who is grateful. He constantly remembers that this is all from Allah the Almighty. The other case, which the scholars kept comparing this case to it, is the case of a poor person who doesn't complain about Allah to people, who doesn't object, who doesn't say, why did you make this person rich even though I'm better than him? I pray and I fast and I pray at night, and this person is an alcoholic and you made rich and you made me poor. He doesn't complain. He doesn't say to people bad things about his situation, and he objects to Allah's decree. So when we said that some people supported the first view, Al-Ghani al-Shakir is superior and better, other people supported the view that but the poor person who is patient is better. I actually love what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah stated in this regard. It is not richness nor poverty which will determine who is superior to whom. Nor is it being grateful while being rich, nor being patient while being poor. What will make you superior? What will make one superior to another, or one case superior to another? Rather, it is the individual condition of piety and righteousness of each. Remember when the Prophet ﷺ went out and he met Abu Bakr and he met Umar, and he said, "Ma akhrajakum as-sa'a?" What did you come out for during this time? Normally people are lying down or resting. So he said, "Al-ju'a, al-ju'a," hunger. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "I swear nothing have took me out of my house during this time, but the same what took you both out of your homes this time. It's hunger, because I'm hungry, looking for something to eat. We don't have anything at home." So when they visited the companion of Al-Ansar, and he hosted them, and quickly he slaughtered a goat and he fixed it and he fed them, and they drank milk, they ate dates, and they enjoyed the meal. The Prophet ﷺ turned to his companions, Abu Bakr and Umar, and said, "By Allah, la tus'alunna yawma idhin 'anil na'im." I swear to Allah, he shall be asked yawma idhin, on the day of judgment, about this delight. This is the delight. They have experienced it once, not in a blue moon, once in their lifetime. And the Nabi ﷺ said, you will be asked about that. So now, a poor person who is patient, he is patient sometimes because he doesn't have a choice. He cannot do any better. Okay, so that doesn't make him superior anyway. You know, his hands are tied. He cannot do any better. And it may be that a person who is poor and he is grateful, not patient, he is grateful. Why? Like all the athar that we studied before about our predecessors, a person who have literally nothing, and he is saying, Alhamdulillah, for what? Alhamdulillah, I have functioning kidneys, my liver is healthy, I'm able to breathe, I'm able to walk on foot, I'm able to work and use my muscles. Others are handicapped. They compare themselves to those who are inferior or less fortunate than them, even though literally they have nothing. So now patience has been upgraded to a higher level, which is gratitude and gratefulness. So he is faqir, he is poor, but he is grateful. Why? Because he comprehended something that not most of people do comprehend, which is the inner blessings. As you know that the blessings are of two types. There are inner and outer blessings. Inner and outer favors. An outer favor is like when you see somebody driving a very luxurious car, which costs $1 million or so. Oh, lucky you. When you drive by to a neighborhood, when you see somebody's house like a palace by a private lake, and they have a tennis court and they have a couple beautiful horses, you look at that and you say, oh my God, that looks like heaven, lucky you. This is when people envied Qarun, and they said, يا ليت لنا مثل ما أوتي قارون إنه لذو حظ عظيم. We wish that we have like what Qarun have. He is so lucky, because they looked at the outer part of the blessings, the apparent richness, the possessions and the properties. But nobody knows about the inner part. Maybe this person, as there is a very interesting story about a person who got off a car. It was a very expensive car, and he heard somebody saying that, oh, this person is very lucky, he has a car that costs that much. So he got off the car, he gave him the key, and he said, it's yours, you can take it. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean anything. He said, it's yours, just give me your liver. I have a liver cirrhosis. I'm just living around for a very short period of time. This car which you envied me for it is not actually mine, because I'm dying in a few weeks, in a few months. If I don't get liver transplantation, I will die. Would you take it and give me your liver? How do you feel about it? How do you feel when you know that maybe the person whom you're envying because he's rich, the outer blessings are showing, the apparent ni'am are showing, while you, whom you think that you're poor because your income is barely enough to suffice for you and your family, and sometimes you have to borrow, and sometimes you are in debt, you are in much better condition. Basically, you don't have to get up in the morning and stand in a long line for renal dialysis. You don't have a problem with the breathing. You don't have a heart failure. You're not waiting in a long queue for in transplantation because you're cool. Alhamdulillah. So al-faqir al-shakir, a poor person who is grateful, in this case is superior. Is superior. That's why Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, may Allah have mercy on him, said, you cannot generalize. You cannot say al-ghani al-shakir is better than al-faqir al-sabir. The ghani, the rich who is grateful, is better than the poor who is patient. You cannot say that. Nor can you say that the poor who is patient is better and superior before Allah than the rich who is grateful, because it varies from an individual to another. The determining factor is what Allah the Almighty stated in Surah Al-Hujurat, ayah number 18, إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. That's it. In ayah number 13 of Surah Al-Hujurat, Allah said the cornerstone, the determining factor, which tells you who is actually superior and who is not. إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. It could be a rich person, and he is grateful, and he is in his lifestyle, he appreciates what Allah has given him, and he is more patient than the poor who is patient. How? Do you guys remember the hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ said, سَبْعَةٌ يُظِلُّهُمُ اللَّهُ فِي ظِلِّهِ يَوْمَ لَا ظِلَّ إِلَّا ظِلُّهُ? There are 7 people whom Allah will shelter under His shade, a shade that He will create on the Day of Judgment, in order to shelter and give salvation to certain people. Amongst those people, when there will not be any shade but his, رجل دعته امرأة ذات منصب وجمال فقال إني أخاف الله. A man, a young man, whom a woman who is very pretty and she is having a high authority, tried to seduce him. I mean, she's got all the means. If she wanted anyone, she can get him. Rather, people would love to have such a relationship with her. But she picked on one person. She wanted to have this relationship with one person. And this person is full of youth. And he has desire like every normal young man. But he replies to this attempt of seduction by saying, Inni akhafullah, I fear Allah. No, I'm not going to do that. What kind of motive that he has in order to comply with her desire, with this kind of seduction? All the motives. He's young, he's full of desire, the woman is beautiful, she's got a lot of money, she has high authority. Like Yusuf alayhi salam. Yusuf alayhi salam, when Imra'atul Aziz said to him, Hi'tu lak, or Huyyi'tu lak, I'm all yours. And she was very beautiful, and she is the first lady, and she locked all the doors behind her. She adorned herself, she put on her lingerie, and she said, I'm all yours, honey. What did he say? He said, No, inni akhafullah. So the reward of a person in these circumstances is greater than maybe a grown-up man, a woman who is an ordinary woman. She is not really beautiful and she doesn't have any position, and she sends me a message, I want to chat with you, can we go out? And no, I'm not interested. Maybe he's not interested because she's really not pretty, or because he's old enough, he's got a bunch of kids and he has a lot of other things to worry about. Okay, that's good, alhamdulillah. But when the person has got all the reasons in order to commit such a sin, but he abstains for the sake of Allah, then he is better and he is superior. So superiority will be based on the individual behavior in various circumstances. Not, generally speaking, a rich person who is grateful is better or superior to a poor person who is patient. I just wanted to give this introduction in the beginning before we actually start discussing the references which Imam al-Nawawi, may Allah have mercy on him, listed in this chapter, brothers and sisters. We'll take a short break, then soon after that, inshallah, we'll come back to tackle these references. Please stay tuned.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk.
I could agree that institutional racism does exist, and to be precise, we should define institutional racism, and that is hidden or non-apparent racism within an organization or an institution. I have witnessed it, maybe in half Saudi. My last name is Arab. So when I moved to the States back in 2002, after the incidents of 9/11, I did face some racism.
I think it can be what you do, but in the sense of without thinking. The things you do naturally without having to stop and think, that just come out.
Okay.
You know, this innate nature of you, and how you think, and and the way you see things.
We can get your insights on the two different countries, inshallah, further on into this conversation. Mamadou, if I can come to you, what's your thoughts on institutional racism, especially in the UK? Do you think it's really prevalent there?
The way we live, it's kind of a combination of two things: our language, and then what we believe in. So if we have got a language without believing in something, so it will be useless. So we have to get like both things going together.
I'm calling your name, oh Allah.
Huda TV strives to remain the premier English language Islamic channel in the world, and to do so we need your input. Send us your thoughts, suggestions and feedback through email at feedback@hoda.tv. Hoda TV is committed to helping others, so why not help Hoda TV share the message of Islam worldwide? Take part in helping spread the authentic message of Islam based on the Quran and the Sunnah throughout the world by sponsoring Hoda TV. Don't miss this unique opportunity to gain the reward from Allah.
رسول الله حبيب الله رسول الله حبيب الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. Our phone numbers area code 002, then 0238555131 or 132. And now with the first reference in the chapter, The Excellence of the Grateful Rich, is of Surah Al-Layl, and we studied this reference twice before, and now it is our third time to study this reference, ayah 5 through ayah 7, so 5, 6 and 7 of Surah Al-Layl, or the night. In this reference, Allah the Almighty says, فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْيُسْرَى. And the meaning of this reference is, as for him who أعطى, he gave in a charity, واتقى, he gave in a charity while being righteous, while being God-fearing, while keeping his duty to Allah, and he believes in Al-Husna. Al-Husna either means the reward which Allah promises for giving in a charity, or it refers to paradise. And either way, the meaning is pretty much the same, because what Allah has promised the charitable ones is a reward that leads to paradise. So وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى, then the outcome of this behavior is we will make smooth for him the path of ease, and we will make easy for him the path to paradise. What we have here is a condition for accepting the charity of a person. وَاتَّقَى. Ittaqa means to be God-fearing. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained being God-fearing with regards to one's earning and one's spending when he said that لا تزول قدم عبد يوم القيامة حتى يسأل عن أربع. Literally, no one on the day of judgment will be dismissed, even Ahlul Jannah, before having to answer 4 questions. One of them is وَعَمَّالِهِ مِنْ أَيْنَ اكْتَسَبَهُ وَفِيمَ أَنْفَقَهُ. Each and every one of us will be asked about his wealth. مِنْ أَيْنَ اكْتَسَبَهُ. How did you earn it? Halal or haram? You may have seen over the past 11 years, mashallah, so many calls people call during this program or Ask Huda or any other program to inquire, well, I'm doing this kind of job and I'm doing an outsource for another company. Am I liable if I assist people who are doing haram? Am I being involved in haram? People are very keen to know what is halal and what is haram with regards to their earning, because you better account yourself right now than being accounted on the day of judgment. Because when you account yourself right now, and that leads you to abstaining from what is unlawful and what is doubtful, it is better than neglecting this accountability and reckoning until you will be accounted on the day of judgment, and you will not have an access to quit. Rather, you will be liable. That's it, it's over. In this life, it's work without compensation. Yani there is no reward nor punishment as far as the conclusion of your deeds. While in the hereafter, there is only compensation and there is no chance for more work. وَلَوْ رُدُّوا لَعَادُوا لِمَا نُهُوا عَنْهُ. When people would beg Allah on the day of judgment, just send us back, we'll do better. That's not going to happen. حتى إذا جاء أحدهم الموت قال رب ارجعون لعلي أعمل صالحا فيما تركت كلا إنها كلمة هو قائلها ومن ورائهم برزخ إلى يوم يبعثون. It's over. When the person approaches death, or when the death approaches a person and he knows that he has been misbehaving, he has been doing an unlawful work, earning unlawfully, so he wants to get rid of that. He wants either to donate it, to give it in a charity. So he says, just send me back, I will fix myself up. Allah the Almighty will say, too late. Kalla. It's not going to happen. Okay? So, accounting oneself in this life means taqwa. فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى. As for him who gives in a charity while being muttaqi, while being righteous. There are a lot of people who give in a charity because they know that their earning is unlawful. I believe my first night of Ramadan, I met one person who said that I have a commercial company, that we do commercial and advertisement and so on. Then he mentioned that he has made or struck a very big deal to advertise for something which is plain haram. He shared with me. He said, but I'm only advertising. I'm not doing anything. I myself don't get to, I'm not involved in that. And I know that this is haram. I said, if you know it is haram, then it is haram to advertise it. It is haram to ask people through your billboards, through your commercials, to watch it, to sit before it. So he said, okay, what am I supposed to do? I said, you need to quit this contract. And you're not supposed to do any more. And, you know, in the commercial business, most of the business is about doing commercials and advertisement for companies which do haram. But if you agree to do that, you're a part of it. So next day he said, Alhamdulillah, Shaykh, I actually donated that much. I don't really remember. It was the first night of Ramadan. He said, I donated maybe 30, 40, or 50%. I'm not sure. I said, and he was expecting me to applaud and say, good boy, mashallah, thank you so much. I said, okay, what about the rest? The entire job is haram. When you donate 50% of it, that would not justify your misdoing. When you donate 90% of it and you keep just 10% or less for yourself and your family, it's haram. And haram is haram. Trying to do money laundering or wash the sin by donating a lot of your money, or as many people in the Middle East, it is very unfortunate that some countries are very famous with the belly dancing. And many of these belly dancers, they do not miss Umrah during Ramadan, and they actually try to perform Hajj every year as much as they can. Why? What for? Do you think that you can bribe Allah? Do you think you can do so? And that's why when they appear in the media, they say that we do a lot of good deeds. I actually spoke to one of them before. I spoke to, you know, some of these actors and actresses. I tried to convince them because what they do is plain haram, what they offer on the screen or on the stage. And the response of the person whom I was talking to, because we were flying together, it was a long trip. It was from JFK to Cairo. So, you know, I love Allah and Allah loves me, and I perform Umrah every Ramadan. I try to go for Hajj whenever I can. Really? Okay, I guess you don't know that the Prophet ﷺ said when the person is performing Hajj from unlawful income, and he starts saying, like once you board the plane, you get in the bus and you start saying, Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, you will get the response, La Labbaik wa la Sa'daik, because your Hajj has been performed or is offered from haram and unlawful earning. It will not be accepted. It's as simple as that. So we have to understand the meaning of wattaqa. فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى. So the prerequisites for your sadaqah, for your charity to be accepted, number one, has to be earned lawfully. Number two, it has to be given in a charity with sincerity. With sincerity. As the following ayah will explain, إِلَّا ابْتِغَاءَ وَجْهِ رَبِّهِ الْأَعْلَى, the following reference. Number three, it should not be followed by al-manni wal-adha. What is al-man? What is al-adha? After this call. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Aisha from Nigeria.
Is it good to use hair stretcher?
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Aisha. You're live on Gardens of the Pious. Go ahead.
I have a question.
Yeah?
I have a
I'm listening.
My question is it good to use hair stretcher?
To do what? Okay, it seems like we're having a connection problem. So, brothers, please collect her question and let me know, please. Thank you, Sister Aisha. You can deposit your question if you call back to our brothers in the control. Thank you. المن والأذى. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تبطلوا صدقاتكم بالمن والأذى كالذي ينفق ماله رئاء الناس. Oh my God. So the person could actually ruin the reward of his charity or be deprived from the reward of his charity by doing one of two things, al-man wal-adha. And al-man will take place normally after you have given the charity. Like when you give one of your workers or a poor person, you give him a t-shirt or a shirt or pair of trousers, or you give him some money, then one day a conflict happened between you and him. You've been supporting a family, poor, orphans, a widow, and for some reason there is a conflict. You ask them to do something and they refuse. So you start reminding them with your favors upon them. Is this how you do to me after I have been feeding you? Look at your clothes. Those are mine. I give you this, I give you that, and you start reminding. That's called man and adha. So even though you've done your charity and it was given from halal, and at the time you have given it with sincerity, but this reminder wiped out your charity. Now you're blameworthy. You got to be very careful. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Zahra from the case. Say assalamu alaikum.
Salam Sheikh, how are you doing?
Fine, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking.
I have a question, Sheikh. During my men's days, I feel my iman very weak. Is it permissible to do the remembrance of Allah in the morning and the evening?
Okay, now I figure why you feel your iman is weak, because you assume that during the menses you cannot do dhikr. No, in fact, during the menses you should actually increase the dose of dhikr than regular days, because during your menses you're not praying, you're not fasting. So you need to compensate that by reciting more adhkar, not only the morning and the evening adhkar, while doing the homework, while doing the kitchen work, recite your adhkar. Before going to your bed, recite your adhkar. So replace the emptiness during this time by increasing the dose of your adhkar. Remember Allah the Almighty much, as Allah the Almighty said, وَالذَّاكِرِينَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا وَالذَّاكِرَاتِ. So once you do that, you will definitely find a big boost to your iman, because al-iman increases by doing what is ta'ah, what is obedience. And Allah the Almighty promised that iman increases as a result of the remembrance of Allah, and the person experiences comfort in his or her heart as a result of the remembrance of Allah. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَتَطْمَئِنُّ قُلُوبُهُم بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. Surah Ar-Ra'd. Those who believe and their hearts do find comfort and rest in the remembrance of Allah. Indeed, in the remembrance of Allah, hearts do find rest and tranquility. Thank you, Sister Zahra from the case A. So, فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى. As for him who gives in a charity, and it doesn't specify any amount. We have discussed this so many times. Amount means nothing. What really matters is وَاتَّقَى وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى. So when he was given, he did so because he believed in the promise of Allah. And the promise of Allah is the ultimate truth, that whatever you give, Allah will reward you for. وَمَا تُنْفِقُوا مِنْ شَيْءٍ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ بِهِ عَلِيمٌ فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْيُسْرَى. So Allah the Almighty using the royal we, فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ. We shall smooth his way to paradise, make his path to heaven easy, to achieve the promised reward. May Allah make us amongst them. So what will happen here? You're given, which means that you're well off. Okay, so the quality of being rich is not just for being rich, rather being rich and charitable, rich and generous. So that what will make you superior. But when the person is withholding, and he is a very big holder, and he only gets and he doesn't give, he is dispraised. That's a blameworthy attitude. The second reference is of Surah Al-Layl as well, but now from verse number 17 through verse number 21. Allah the Almighty said, وَسَيُجَنَّبُهَا الْأَتْقَى الَّذِي يُؤْتِي مَالَهُ يَتَزَكَّى وَمَا لِأَحَدٍ عِندَهُ مِن نِّعْمَةٍ تُجْزَى إِلَّا ابْتِغَاءَ وَجْهِ رَبِّهِ الْأَعْلَى وَلَسَوْفَ يَرْضَى. The word وَسَيُجَنَّبُهَا الْأَتْقَى, يعني the pious one will be far removed from it. The pronoun it refers to hellfire here. Look at the previous ayat. So Allah the Almighty is saying those who will be saved from hellfire, from the torment which is warned against in the surah, are al-atqa. Didn't Allah the Almighty say, فَأَنذَرْتُكُمْ نَارًا تَلَظَّى لَا يَصْلَاهَا إِلَّا الْأَشْقَى. I'm warning you against a blazing fire. Those who denied, who belied, who turned away from the truth shall taste it. And those who are righteous shall be saved against it. And the qualities of al-atqa here, the word atqa is, according to the scale in the Arabic grammar, is أفعل تفضيل, better than, or the best of. In fact, some of the interpreters of the Quran said al-atqa here refers to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, may Allah be pleased with him. And he was indeed al-atqa in this ummah after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the most righteous person in this ummah after Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. And the ayah is much more general than that, so it applies to everyone who is taqi. And what gives you a higher place in heaven is the level of your righteousness. وَسَيُجَنَّبُهَا الْأَتْقَى. The traits of such people who shall be sheltered against hellfire and protected from it, from نَارًا تَلَظَّى, يُؤْتِي مَالَهُ يَتَزَكَّى. He gives his wealth in a charity for increase of self-purification. وَمَا لِأَحَدٍ عِنْدَهُ مِنْ نِعْمَةٍ تُجْزَى. And who has in mind no favor from anyone to be paid back. Yani, in simple English, he is not expecting any compensation or appreciation from those whom he gives. So when he gives in a charity, he is not even waiting for a person to say, Jazakallahu khairan. Do you know that some of the Sahaba and our predecessors, whenever they give in a charity, the poor person would automatically say, Jazakallahu khairan. May Allah reward you the best. May Allah bless you. So the rich person, the person who just given a charity, will say, Bal anta jazakallahu khairan. Rather, it is you. May Allah bless you. Why? Because he is afraid that for being praised, for being appreciated by the recipient, by the poor, that will diminish his reward, which is promised by Allah. I am not expecting any appreciation from you. So even if you don't say thank you, I'm cool. I'm fine with that. Because I didn't give you in the first place to see a smile over your face, or to see you appreciating my doing, or to say you're the man. No. My goal is Him. My target is to please Him. And that's why Allah the Almighty said, إِلَّا بِتِغَاءَ وَجْهِ رَبِّهِ الْأَعْلَى. He's only doing so to seek the pleasure of Allah the Most High, وَلَسَوْفَ يَرْضَى, which means, and He surely will be pleased when He will enter paradise as a result of His sincere giving in a charity. May Allah the Almighty make us amongst them. The third reference is of Surah Al-Baqarah, This is a very important reference. Allah the Almighty says, إن تبدوا الصدقات فنعما هي إن تبدوا الصدقات فنعما هي وإن تخفوها وتؤتوها الفقراء فهو خير لكم ويكفر عنكم من سيئاتكم والله بما تعملون خبير. And the meaning of this ayah is, if you show or disclose your charity, it is well. But if you conceal it and give it to the poor in private, that is better for you. And Allah will expiate you some of your sins, and Allah is well acquainted with what you do. This ayah tells us that there are two conditions. Generally speaking, when we compare between giving in a charity in public or in private, giving in a charity in private is superior. When given in a charity in public, sometimes becomes superior or better. When you intend by that to encourage others to follow you, when you intend to become amongst as-sabiqeen, the foremost, the pioneers, such as, if there is a fundraise to build a masjid, a school, or a hospital, and everybody is reluctant to give, and a fundraise starts. When people, even somebody in his mind saying that I'm gonna give $20, then all of a sudden you showed up and you said, I'm giving 20,000, 30,000. And some people say, I'm matching every charity that will be given tonight. If you guys donate 100,000, I will donate similar to them. So his intention of doing so is to motivate people and to encourage them to give in a charity that is appreciated. That is the meaning of فَنِعِمَّا هِي. That is very well. Why? Because this intention is not just sincere. He goes far beyond that, where he wants others to give in a charity. But not everyone can guarantee that much sincerity. That's why Allah the Almighty said, وَإِن تُخْفُوهَا وَتُؤْتُوهَا الْفُقَرَاءَ فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. But if you conceal it and you give it to the poor in private, that is indeed better for you, because it will nullify any possibility of showing off or lack of sincerity. وَاللَّهُ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ خَبِيرٌ. And don't worry about it. Even if you delivered it to somebody without your name on it, in an envelope, or deposited directly in somebody's account, so nobody knows who is actually the donor, it doesn't matter, because Allah does. You don't have to write your name on it. You don't have to give it in person and say, this is a gift from me, or. Because what matters is, when we said in Surah Al-Layl, إِلَّا ابْتِغَاءَ وَجْهِ رَبِّهِ الْأَعْلَى وَلَسَوْفَ يَرْضَى, is only doing so to please Allah the Most High, then don't worry about it. It has been already achieved. وَتُؤْتُوهَا الْفُقَرَاءَ وَإِن تُخْفُوهَا وَتُؤْتُوهَا الْفُقَرَاءَ. That is better for you, because by the end, وَاللَّهُ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ خَبِيرٌ. Allah is well acquainted with what you all do. I wanted to take the last ayah, the last reference from the Quran of Surah Al-Imran, but we ran out of time, so hopefully inshallah we'll begin the next episode with this beautiful ayah. Until next time, brothers and sisters, I leave you all in the care of Allah the Almighty. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
رسول الله حبيب الله. Allah, our God, is the greatest, the one and only glory to Him. He wanted humans to be the best and give His best religion to them. Allah, our God, is the greatest, the one and only glory to Him. He wanted humans to be the best and give His best religion to them.
So why did they ignore that? Forgetting all about it in paradise, worshipping cows, fire and stones, selling the best with the cheapest price.
So why did they ignore that? Forgetting all about hell and paradise, paradise, worshipping cows, fire and stones, selling their best with the cheapest price. Rasulallah, Habib Allah, Rasulallah.